Hi everyone, so it is VEDA day 14, and I decided that for today I'm going to do kind of a breastfeeding, it's not even an update because those were loud breaks, because I haven't really talked about it much in the past to start with. Like, I think there might have been a little bit here and there in Lex's updates and my postpartum updates and stuff, but I haven't had like a video dedicated to it. So this is just kind of like how my breastfeeding experience has been. Lex is almost a year old, so how it's been breastfeeding for almost a year. So at first, it was really difficult. We had some trouble with his latch, and there was a lot of pain, and it was really difficult. And like for the first 2 months of his life, at least, it was not easy because of his kind of temperament about it. And I'll explain a little bit. So he would largely end nursing sessions with screaming. And that was really hard because I felt like, maybe I was doing something wrong. It just didn't feel like it was working as easily as I felt like it should. Not that it should be easy necessarily, but that it should be like this amazing bonding time and just like blissful for mom and baby and stuff like that. And so we kind of struggled for the first couple of months. And then at his 2-month checkup, we talked with the pediatrician, our family doctor, about the difficulties that we were having and kind of tried to get some ideas about what to do. And I had in the back of my mind this suspicion that he was reacting to stuff that I was eating, and specifically that he was reacting to me having dairy. He was also at the time having some like mucus in his diapers and stuff like that. So that seemed to indicate to me that there was some digestive stuff going on for him. So when he was 2 months old, I think that has to be right. Yeah, when he was 2 months old, I cut out dairy and I cut out gluten, which were the two things that our family doctor, his doctor, Oliver doctor, who is a naturopathic doctor, I should mention, those were the two things that she suggested that I try cutting out first and see if that made a difference. So I did that and kind of waited to see if things got better. And I would say about 2 to 3 weeks after I cut out dairy and gluten, which I think I cut out gluten first, and then like 5 days later or so, I officially cut dairy out. I think that was the order that I did it in. So about 2 to 3 weeks after cutting those out, I started to notice a difference, that he wasn't spending as much time screaming, that our nursing sessions were a little bit calmer, and that he just seemed like he was doing better and happier. So that seemed to indicate that he was reacting to one or the other, dairy and or gluten. And so I was like, okay, I'm committed to continuing to not have these things in my diet, more or less for as long as he's nursing. I did, when he was 7 months-ish, something like that, kind of challenged them. So I first did it with gluten, and I had bread, like just a very simple bread that had like hardly anything in it, for 3 days in a row, about the same time of day, and kind of waited to see if he reacted. And I'm not certain whether or not he did react, but 2 of those 3 days, he melted down. But it was about like 20 hours after I had eaten the gluten. So it's possible that that was what he was reacting to, but it's not clear cut. And then after that, I challenged the dairy with cheese, just like cheddar cheese, and he didn't really seem to react to that. But again, it's like I kind of just feel better keeping those things out of my diet for now. However, yesterday we were at a friend's daughter's birthday party and they had pizza there, and I have not, like, I have to say that pizza is perhaps the thing that I miss the most. Not that I ate pizza all the time, but just that, like, that is, there's no real substitute for pizza, and it's gluten and dairy, so like it's really hard to find a decent substitute for that. So at the party, I had a piece of pizza. Small piece of pizza, but I had a piece of pizza. So far, knock on wood, Lex does not seem to have reacted. So I may relax a little bit and have things every once in a while when it's available. Like, I won't go out of my way for it, but when it's available and I want it, if that makes sense. Of course, I'm gonna, I'll wait and see. This is still, I guess I had it about 24 hours ago, so I would kind of expect him to have reacted by now. But so anyway, so that's been a large part of our kind of nursing relationship, has been this food elimination, food issues, stuff like that. When he was like a newborn, he nursed for long periods of time. He nursed very frequently. We also had difficulty early on with him gaining weight. For the first probably month of his life, we were going in twice a week for weight checks. And he did start gaining after maybe 2 weeks. He started slowly gaining, and then he regained his birth weight by maybe like 3.5 weeks or something like that. So that was also stressful. Like, I had to be on supplements to try to boost my supply, which I don't think was really the issue, but anyway, we just wanted to make sure that I had plenty of milk, and that made the relationship stressful also. So we kind of started out with that, and having to make sure that he nursed frequently and stuff like that, and then that morphed into the dietary stuff and having to cut stuff out of my diet. And but kind of as he's gotten older, things have gotten easier to some extent. Like, we've just gotten more used to it. We've both kind of gotten better at nursing. He now nurses for a very short amount of time. He averages, I would say, like 5 to 8 minutes total at a nursing session, and he nurses at this point 5 or 6 times a day, usually it's 6 times. But there have been an occasional day here or there where it's been only 5 times. But he generally, he is 11 and a half months. I think he'll be 11 and a half months technically tomorrow. So he generally nurses when we wake up for the day at about 8, and then he nurses at about noon, and he nurses at about 4, and he nurses at about 8 right before he goes to bed, and then he nurses twice through the night, usually at around 1 in the morning, and then again at about 4 or 5 in the morning. So that's kind of what has evolved as a nursing schedule, and he didn't have a schedule until like a month ago. That's a very new thing, and he only nurses for, as I said, like 5 to 8 minutes total, and then he's done. And this has been, like, it's been surprising, but not surprising at the same time, because he has been eating more solids. We waited until 9 months to introduce solids, so he was exclusively breastfed until he was 9 months old. And it was largely, like, waiting was largely because I didn't feel like I was quite ready. Like, because we had struggled so much with our nursing relationship early on, and it finally felt like it was at a good place, I didn't really want to throw anything else into the mix to possibly mess it up. So we waited until 9 months, which his doctor was totally supportive of, and didn't have any concerns about that. And he started solids just after he turned 9 months, and he pretty quickly figured it out. We've done baby-led weaning, so he hasn't had spoon-fed purees. Um, he has always had like the solid food, but he has had like pouches and stuff like that that has puree in it. So he has had puree, but he's always fed himself basically. So yeah, I feel like this is like all over the place. I'm not very focused, and I'm sorry about that, but hopefully you're following what I'm saying. So yeah, so we are now at 11 and a half months. We are, weeks away from making it to a year, which was my initial goal, like minimum goal, and I didn't think that that was going to happen at times. There was one point when he was 6-ish months old when Eric, my husband, and I actually had a semi-serious conversation about supplementing with formula because I was just so stressed out and not getting sleep and just felt like all of this pressure was on me. All of this stuff was on my shoulders because I had the responsibility of feeding him. And I needed some help with that. I pretty quickly got over that and calmed down. And this was, I think, this might have been right before Lex's 6-month appointment. And we talked with his doctor at that point, and it came up in the conversation that I had a bunch of milk in the freezer, maybe like close to 100 ounces, I think. And she said, whoa, 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 we're not talking about supplementing with formula at all when you have milk in the freezer. So, and I still have a decent stash. I still have probably close to 100 ounces in the freezer. And I'm getting to the point now where some of it is getting towards its expiration date. It's good for 6 months in the freezer. So I'm getting to the point where I need to actually use the milk. It's gonna go bad, which is weird, that I actually have to force myself to use this milk, where I was very protective of my freezer stash for a long time. So yeah, so we are at 11 and a half months. We're definitely gonna make it to a year. My goal is to continue as long as he wants to and as long as it's working for both of us. I would love to make it to 2, but we'll kind of see how it goes. And it's also probably going to be somewhat affected by if and when we decide to try for baby number 2. I will not intentionally wean him in order to get pregnant or while pregnant or anything like that, unless there is a medical reason to wean him. And I know that he might wean himself because, milk changes or dries up or stuff like that. But I would really hope that it wouldn't really affect it. I have thought about my, not comfort level, but whether or not I would want to tandem nurse a toddler and a newborn. And I'm not quite sure about that, but I don't want to intentionally wean him at this point. Obviously not right now, and I also just don't like the idea of intentionally weaning him at any point, but we might get to the point where it's just too much and I need a break. So we'll see. But for now, making it to a year and as far beyond as he wants. So yeah, so that is kind of our breastfeeding journey to almost a year. I hope this was helpful to some people. If you have any questions about any of the stuff that I've gone through, please, leave a comment below. I'm happy to share more if anyone is interested in any of the particular things that we've gone through. And if I haven't been clear or haven't included enough information about anything, please feel free to ask, and I'm happy to elaborate and share more. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you later. Bye.